A new sprint ride option podcast. Jason Aponte. We're 4 days away from week one, the 49ers season starting. We'll clean up some news from today before we preview the 2025 49ers. Jason Aponte, new episode starts now.
Burp. 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 Burp.
This is Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by Jason Aponte. New Sprint Ride Option podcast, as always, here on a Wednesday. It's a little hot here in Sacramento, California. Don't know what it's like in New Jersey right now, but probably not as hot as out here. Jason, how you doing on this lovely, lovely Wednesday afternoon, evening for you?
Good. It's Christmas Eve. Tomorrow is the big day, and we've got football on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday, and you got to start setting your fantasy lineups. General rule for all of my people that play fantasy football: if you have Thursday night football players, remove them from your flex position and put them in their correct spots. You want your flex spot to be, as they would say, flexible.
As flexible as possible. That's like a charisma Riz. It's a shortened version. You want to have a flexible player in the flex spot. Jason, I get it. Thank you for the fantasy advice. That's something I always mess up on myself. I mess up the flex player and then I overthink it. It's not. I'm not. Listen. One of us here are a good fantasy player. The other one's Andrew Pasquini, and that's okay. That's okay. Jason knows ball. I don't. That's okay. But hey, I like the advice. How you feeling on your? How many teams you got this year? First of all, that's the important question.
I've chopped it down. I've got
Yes.
two redraft teams, and I've got about six dynasty teams.
Okay.
Three of them I feel very good about, with a chance to take home the championship. One of which I've been to the championship 3 straight years. Another I've been 2 straight years, and one I've won two of the last three. So I feel
Oh yeah.
really good about that. I feel like I've had really good rookie drafts, and a lot of that
Oh
has
yeah.
to do with just good drafting, lucky.
I like that. I feel like we used to be in the multi dozens amount of teams in the
Mm-hmm.
past, so I'm very happy you've cut that down quite a bit. So that makes me happy. Jason, before we get into the captains, can I admit something? Can I admit something that we haven't had a chance to talk about on this podcast?
Sure,
I think the rivalry jerseys have grown on me a little bit.
that's fine. I love
Just a
that.
little bit. I hate the faithful across the chest. I don't like the black helmets. I'm not a fan of the black helmets. I will say it's better than the original black uniforms from yesteryear, just strictly for the number font and the drop shadow, being able to have a shadow under the number. They've grown on me. I still don't like them. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they've grown on me more than when we first saw them. And we saw them however long ago we saw them.
They look better than the low res picture we saw that was on a
Mhm,
mannequin. I think
mhm.
I can admit that as well. It doesn't mean
Yes,
that I like them.
mhm.
But I did see them in Madden 26 on yeah, this is off limits. Ryan,
I
he
apologize.
wasn't, no, he wasn't part of Bully Ball where I said we're banning kicker and jersey talk
Okay,
from the entire channel. But this will be the last part. I did
good
get to
enough.
see it on Madden 26. Someone was playing on YouTube. Thought it looked pretty cool on there, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine. Doesn't matter.
perfect. Yeah, no, that's where I was too. Like we saw very low res images once we saw the very first, like how they look. They're better than I thought. I'm anti the 49ers going black uniforms. That's just my opinion. But off limits. I just learned. Thank you, Ryan, for explaining the rules of the channel of YouTube I am on. So shout out me paying attention. But
No,
that's
I mean
okay, Jason.
it was
Bully
yesterday,
ball,
because
bully ball.
Rob trolls me with the kicker stuff, and I just said two things that 49er fans discuss way too much is kickers and jerseys. I don't care.
I
I
like it.
wear a burlap
I like
sack,
it.
wear a burlap sack. Just wear the shells. Don't even wear a jersey. I don't care. Win the fucking game.
Week 18 would be the only game they're wearing it for
Yes.
Vish. And then Ryan, thank you for the stream for that. Jason, captains, 49ers have a lot of them. Tight end George Kittle, linebacker Fred Warner, tackle Trent Williams, running back Christian McCaffrey, quarterback Brock Purdy, defensive lineman Nick Bosa, fullback Kyle Juszczyk, and the defensive back Diamador Lenore. A lot of captains on this team. I know Shanahan likes to have it one per position group, which is what they have here, other than Juszczyk and McCaffrey. But a lot of captains, none of them necessarily surprises. I think that these are probably the right choices.
Yeah, I mean, you just swapped out Debo Samuel for Diamador Lenore.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it. These are going to be the guys that obviously the team is going to look for leadership, but they're going to lean on. Every single one of these guys cannot miss an extended period of time,
Yeah.
cannot have a down season. All of them will have to do more of the heavy lifting than they ever have, even though
Yep.
they have for other teams. The roster's just not deep enough for them to have down years or miss any time. So yeah, this makes sense. And basically Debo Samuel's out, Diamador Lenore's in, and he deserves every bit of this because he's an ascending player and a top 10 cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean you hit the nail right on the head there, Jason. It's a group of people that have to stay healthy. These are not just your captains; they are your most important San Francisco 49ers. And this has to be a list of 7 guys or 8 guys, how many ever it is, that need to stay healthy for the entire like lead by availability. That would be huge for this team. That this list of players stay healthy because I think that's the difference. And once we get in the preview, I'm going to talk about best case scenario, worst case scenario. And I think worst case scenario is automatically injuries just because the team, that's what we become accustomed to. So I'm going to try and exclude injuries from my worst case scenario. But like this is it. Your captain's list is the worst case scenario of none of these guys can miss more than 2 games each. Because if they do, they're all positions that the Niners don't have a ton of depth in. And they're all positions that the Niners need their best players in if they're going to be good. So it's a nice little reference list of you want to see as many C's on the jerseys as you can every Sunday, because if you're seeing C's, it means the Niners have their best team out there. And that's what they need at this point, considering all the injury shenanigans that have gone on the past few weeks.
Injury shenanigans.
We can
Rated
workshop that.
out of
I
10.
like
Well,
that.
what out of 10? What out of 10?
5.5 out of 10, but we could
That's not
workshop
bad.
it.
That's
I
not
think
bad.
we could workshop that.
That's not bad. Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, George Kittle has to go crazy this year. Brock Purdy, if George Kittle's gonna go crazy, then it's a product of Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey's invaluable to this offense. Trent Williams is a Hall of Famer. Nick Bosa has to have a dominant season. I was a little, I guess, put off by his comments today about I've seen the pinnacle of success. I've been a DPOY. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's the pinnacle of
But
success in the every NFL player's dream when they're growing up is to lift that Defensive Player of the Year trophy and nothing more. There's no other trophy you want to win in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, when he grew up, wanted to be a Defensive Player of the Year. Like just as facts.
I mean, honestly, he said he wanted to be dominant. That's it. Just go be dominant. I don't really care. But Fred Warner, obviously, and I think it's interesting on defense. One defensive lineman, Nick Bosa, is going to have to carry this defensive line while they try to figure it out. One at the second level, Fred Warner, who is going to be that rock of the defense, and one in the secondary, Diamador Lenore, that's going to have to bring across the actual secondary as they get up
Yeah.
to speed. So very interesting how that worked out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. As we said, good choice on captains. Jason, let's just go from captains to another list of names here. A little bit more of an unfortunate list of names. Injury report. We got
Mhm.
injury report. It's our very first injury report of the 2025 season. We are getting there. And hey, stop me if you've heard this before. The 49ers have a long, long list of injuries once again. And it's varying reports, right? Like Ben Barch, Clea Davis practiced with their injuries. They were full participants. Garendo, Huff, Jordan James, Jawan Jennings, all participants. James and Jennings limited. Mac Jones, Okawanu, full participants. Same with Jason Pinnock. Upton Sauda, full participants. CJ West, Michael Williams, all full participants. But then there's some players limited practice. Dominic Puny, limited. We're still expecting to see him play. I mentioned Jawan Jennings limited practice as well with his calf injury. Sounds like he is scheduled to play. And then the only few DMPs, Yatur Gross Matos, DMP with the knee, Jordan Watkins, DMP with the ankle, and Trent Williams, DMP with a resting player, just kind of normal rest day for him. So, Jason, I think there's a few names that kind of stand out here the most, but what is the most important name on this list that needs to play on Sunday?
Trent Williams with resting player face. What are we taking out of 10 there? What are we thinking out of 10 there? I'm trying to
Resting
up the
player
ante
face.
with dad jokes.
I like that. I'll put that at like a 6.8.
That's good.
I like resting player face. Yeah,
Perfect. We're getting better. I've got a few more. No, the Jordan Watkins thing was very successful. I mean, was very successful. Was just understood. I'm not really too worried about that. The Yetur Gross Models thing is a little bit of a bummer, but when you think about it, that's not so bad. When you think about what it could have been and who could have
Yeah.
not been here, the starting offensive line is intact. Juwan Jennings is going to play Sunday, and I thought that was really interesting that Kyle Shanahan was right away saying that, because you know that he's skittish on giving out information like that. And I think back to when he had to make the quarterback decision with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, and he took it all the way up to the last day just to play around with the media. Wasn't playing around by saying that Juwan Jennings is going to play, so that's
Yeah.
good. How many snaps? That's something we'll probably discuss, a little today and probably more Friday when we get into our preview of the game. But yeah, I mean, you know what? All things considered, all the injuries that were there, this is not bad. And this is probably the healthiest the 49ers have been in a long time. So we really can't be too upset with this.
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea of how bad it's been, I just gave a list of 15 players on the injury report, and this is the healthiest the Niners have been in a
Hmm.
long while. So like that. Yeah, for me, it's Dominic Puny. Just because I know we kind of got the idea that we would play on Sunday last week, but going from the fear of seeing the highlight of him getting his knee rolled up on in that preseason game against the Raiders, like, oh no, here we go. Once again, to him being on track to playing week one, it's a good sign. It's one less question along the defensive line. I already see Gojira asking over under Ben Barch starting 8 games, which I think is a good, probably
Over.
line with how I would say over as well. That's just hopeful. I never include injuries when I think about previewing seasons and all that, because I don't like to imagine they exist. I know it doesn't work like that, but I'm hoping it's over the 8 games. But yeah, just one less question on the offensive line with Puny trending towards playing in week one, especially considering how serious that could have been. So that's probably the one that I'm most excited for, to see him play against Seattle.
I'm looking at this wide receiver room, and it's substantially better than it was
Yeah.
and it could have been, many days ago. You have Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Marcus Valdez-Scantling is part of the 53. Russell Gage is back on the practice squad. You'll probably see Sky Moore there as well too. And I think it was Matt Barrows who put it together the best. Pearsall and Jennings are probably going to get the big snaps, and Sky Moore will be the Jacob Cowing who just does punts and just gets on the field here and there. MVS is going to be a contributor, and again, I want to reiterate, I don't believe that MVS needs to catch passes to be a force for this offense and be a problem. Again, if he's clearing out routes, then it clears out everything for everybody else. So, the room itself, it looks much better than we thought it would. So, it and Vish is asking, is Juwan good to go right away? I don't remember a time when Kyle Shanahan was that open with a player returning from an injury and saying, yeah, you know what? He's going to play on Sunday and we expect him to play. I mean, from not being able to run, not having a contract to full speed, and he's going to play on Sunday. It's a miracle.
Oh, that's what I said. They probably should have signed Kendrick Bourne just on his healing abilities alone, that he showed up and Jawan Jennings was healthy.
Well, what's funny is Kendrick Bourne went to Santa Clara, left without a deal, went to Washington, left without a deal, and he's going to wait a week. Now, if I could get into the mind of the greatest free agent wide receiver the 49ers could sign, which is Kendrick Bourne. And by the way, us losing our mind over Kendrick Bourne being signed back it's not a good thing, but I will say this. He is probably looking to see how this wide receiver room for
Yeah.
both of these teams shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been of the mind that two things can be true. The 49ers didn't offer him the money that he wanted, and they didn't offer him the role that he wanted. Now let's break this down. Juwan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson all run in front of Kendrick Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, that is a role that will be wide receiver 5 and be pushed out. So, again, would you be a wide receiver who, 1, is not going to get the money that you want, 2, is not going to get the role that you want? Okay, and I thought he had a better chance of going to Washington because you look at their depth chart. Terry McLaurin, very good wide receiver. Deebo Samuel, probably going to have a really good year with Cliff Kingsbury. KJ Osborne, Jalen Lane, he has a better chance to have a role there. But did they offer him the money that he wanted? Did they offer him the role that he wanted? So I think he's going to sit around and he's going to watch week 1. He's going to watch all the snaps and he's going to figure out what's a better situation? What's a chance that I can have a bigger impact on either side and which team? Because it doesn't sound like the money's going to roll in for a player who is coming off an injury. And let's just face it, the 49ers fans were trying to sign for vibes. And that's not a slight at him at all. I think they just wanted that reliability, but Kendrick Bourne is a solid player, and I think that's the highest praise I can give him.
I mean, he's a solid player and he's a familiar name to 49er fans. And I mean, once you have that comfort with a player, and then Bourne was, I thought he was a good Niner. Right? Nothing fantastic,
He
nothing
was fine.
great, but I
He
think
was
he
little
was a good
Jawan
enough
Jennings.
Niner. He walked so Jawan Jennings could fly, I guess would be the best way to say it. But yeah, he's not necessarily going to move the needle on a 2025 team. It's just more so comfort. It's reliability. It's somebody and that's I think why Niner fans want him. And I mean, I would love to have him back. As I said, thought he was a decent Niner. But yeah, the Jennings situation kind of resolved itself very quickly. At least with the calf injury wise, the holdout we're still kind of unsure. I saw Shanahan mention today that they want Jennings and Colton McKivitz beyond this season. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's a future conversation to have with the. I mean, what else is he supposed to say? Hey, yeah,
Exactly.
this is the last year of these players. Jawan Jennings, he wants more money from us, but this is probably the last year he's playing. Like he's not going to say that. Although would make for some pretty good content if he did say that. I would enjoy that.
Signing Colton McKivitz to a $20 million deal to play right tackle. Oh man, that would feed generations. Look, I
Oh,
look,
so
look.
many videos off of that alone.
The reason that you don't speak in absolutes is because you have no idea what's going to happen this season. And whatever your plan is going to the season, and let's face it, the 49ers are never living in a perfect world, even though they want to pretend like it's a perfect world. You never know what's going to happen. So why alienate a player? Even if you don't believe he's going to be there, you have to say that. I wouldn't read into that any further, but it is fun to watch the freakouts happen as they usually do when there's a little bit of news, especially when it comes to Colton McKivitz, who 49er fans just can't even give him the slightest compliment of being an average right tackle that plays in the NFL. That's all I need you to say. I don't need you to say anything more
Yeah.
than he is an average right tackle in the NFL that has played football and takes snaps and is incredibly cheap. That's all you have to say. It doesn't have to be some grand proclamation. You don't have to step outside and say, hey, I think he's a top 5, top 10 guy. You would be unrealistic. But if you say that he's a bottom 32 guy, that's unrealistic too. And I question whether you kind of know what you're looking at.
He is a starting right tackle in the
Thank
NFL. That
you.
is the
He is
best.
a starting right tackle who has played snaps in the NFL on a very, very cheap salary. That's it. Say that
Yes.
in the mirror and you'll feel very, very
Yes.
good about yourself.
Yep. And then kind of Gojira says in the chat here up at the kind of along the lines of he's going to get more money than you think when he hits the open market. But that's
I'm sure he
okay.
is.
Hey, Jason, let's dive in a little bit into the preview, the 2025 preview content. Since we have more time to preview the Niners Seahawks game. And I kind of wanted to start with just a very simple exercise. The worst case scenario, best case scenario, kind of what your worst case is for the 2025 season first. And then we'll talk about best case scenario. And I want to avoid the injury conversation because I think there's 32 teams in the NFL that worst case scenario is all their best players get hurt. So I'm going to start. I think my two worst case scenarios for this team, one relies on Brock Purdy, one relies on the 49ers defense. My concern is Brock Purdy shows he's more of what he was last season, kind of more turnover centric. 2023, he wasn't a huge turnover guy. Last year, he started to turn it over a little bit more. We could say it's the quality of players around him. Could say it's not, whatever it may be. But if he shows more of that 2024 version of himself, especially with this big contract that he just signed, it's not going to be the best feeling, especially coming off of last season. So that's one of my worst case scenarios is just Purdy doesn't take a step. I think there needs to be a step this season. He's nowhere near a panic if he doesn't take that step. I think if you look at Kyler Murray, right? If Kyler Murray doesn't show us something this year, he's done. I don't need to hear about him again. Brock Purdy, it's not end of the world, obviously, for his progression. I'm just talking about in a vacuum, the 2025 season, Brock Purdy doesn't take that step. And then the other side of the ball, the defense, my worst case scenario has to be it just takes too long for everything to mesh. There's a lot of new pieces, a lot of young pieces, new DC. There's not a lot of time really to waste for this defense. The schedule's not great. We've talked about the schedule. It's not a great schedule. There's some not great offenses early on in the season that you should be able to take advantage of. There's not a lot of time, though. You can't take 2 months to kind of feel it out and figure out what this defense is. If it takes too long, the season might be lost. So I'm going to say my 2 worst case scenarios for this season, outside of injuries, obviously, is Purdy not taking a clear step and the defense just not gelling in time. So there's my 2 worst case scenarios for this team.
Mine on the offensive side has got to be Ricky Pearsall not taking a step. He has to become the guy that they use the first round pick on and what they believe he will be, because we have the uncertainty with Brandon Ayuk. The only way that you feel better about what happened with Brandon Ayuk and what could happen, whether he doesn't return to form or, that injury just, zaps his energy, is that Ricky Pearsall becomes close to what he was as an ex separator. So if Ricky Pearsall is there, if you go into this season and you don't have a clear picture of what Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk are going to be going into 2026, that's a problem. So yes, it would definitely be Ricky Pearsall, because he can offset the possibility. That's what I'm going to say. The possibility that Brandon Ayuk doesn't bounce back from that brutal knee injury. I'm not betting on that, but again, you have to take everything into account. And the only way to alleviate that loss of Brandon Ayuk is by Ricky Pearsall taking that step and being that guy. Now, best case scenario for that is the both of them are back to normal, and, Pearsall takes a step and Ayuk comes back, and, never a doubt, right? But that's not the world that the 49ers should be operating in. It's more of a proactive than reactive thing, and you want to see him automatically take that first step defensively. Whew, man, it's got to be if this linebacker group next to Fred Warner doesn't play up to snuff in the run game, right? If neither D Winters, Nick Martin, Luke Gifford, if none of them play well and stick in the lineup, that's scary, because things are going to get very hairy in run defense, right? The whole idea of the wide 9 is the big bodies up front and they hold up the blocks. The smaller, faster linebackers get in and impact the run. If that's not working and D Winters gets hurt, or I know you said nothing about injuries, but I'm just saying, if there's uncertainty next to Fred Warner, we've got a big problem this entire season. So I'll go with that one, and I'll go with Ricky Pearsall, not panning out the way that we want.
Yeah, and I like that linebacker specific one just because my headline in my head is, well, there's no way it could be worse than Devondre Campbell last year. But then on the flip side, Jason, what if it is? And that's my word, that's my fear, because again, like I mentioned it a few episodes ago, but I grew up on 49ers defenses that stop the run, right? Like the years with Harbaugh, we'd be talking about, oh, it's been 15 games since the Niners have faced an 100-yard rush, or yada, yada, yada. And that identity was gone last season, just absolutely gone. So I don't like that. So I really hope that the one thing that changes from the defense is they're able to stop the run, and that starts at the linebacker. So that's a great call, Jason. Best case scenario. I mean, I'll be the one to take it, Jason. The best case scenario is the 49ers win the Super Bowl. I don't think it's out of the court, right? Like you giggle, right? Because it is the obvious one, right? But it's there. It's laid out for you, right? The schedule's easy. Everybody's coming back healthy. Yes, the playoffs might get a little fuzzy because you have to play better teams and you have to play in the regular season because of the schedule, right? But it feels like it's laid out there. There's a chance. I'm not going to sit there and blow smoke up your ass and say this team is a Super Bowl favorite. They're not, right? Let's step back. There are probably 2 or 3 other teams in the NFC alone that you can sit and say, hey, they probably have a better shot. And that doesn't even count the trio of teams in the AFC with the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. But even down to like the expectations are off a little bit, right? Like you don't have as high expectations as you did last year coming off of a Super Bowl appearance. You're kind of that team that a lot of people want to say you're back, but you're not quite back because they're not sure of what it looks like. So I guess the lazy one, Jason, is Super Bowl, right? But if I had not to pick that, the best case scenario is somehow the receiving core, kind of based off what you're saying, doesn't miss a beat despite missing Ayuk and despite missing Debo Samuel. It's getting what you can out of Ricky Pearsall, and then you have Demarcus Robinson coming back after 3 games. Maybe you make a trade at the middle of the season because you recognize you need the position to improve. It really, best case scenario is this receiving core comes back. So sorry, Jason, I apologize. I took the big one, the Super Bowl, right? But it is technically the best case scenario, and it's something that I know not a ton of people are necessarily talking about because the hype is kind of gone on this team because of this offseason. But we're sitting here, and there's a path. There is a obvious path to the Super Bowl right now. And Jason, do you know where the Super Bowl is this year by any chance?
I don't know.
The San Francisco Bay Area, Levi Stadium, Super Bowl 60. So,
I hope they wear white uniforms because it's going to be hot.
Hey, they got a lot of white uniforms this year. We're not wearing red till week 10. So, yeah, Jason, I just took the big one, Super Bowl.
Christian McCaffrey's back to normal in 2023. I think that has to be your best case scenario. I mean, that will alleviate so much of your concern with the wide receiver room. Is it feasible? That's really the question. But best case scenario is that Christian McCaffrey resembles the guy in 2023, and he is the guy that is the driving force of this offense. He solves the red zone issues. He's catching the ball. He's running the ball. He's running away from defenders. He's causing mismatches, and he's making life easier for everyone, including Brock Purdy, including George Kittle, including those guys that you need to, step up and figure their way with the wide receivers. So Christian McCaffrey is the X factor for this offense this season in terms of how he goes is going to determine how a lot of other guys go. And I'm not talking about George Kittle. I'm not talking about necessarily Trent Williams or anything like that. I'm just talking about how he goes is going to make things easier for not only Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Kyle Shanahan, but it'll make things easier for this offense, and we won't have to worry about who's the kicker when you score all those touchdowns.
I like how you slid that last one in there. I really do. That's nice. Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I think McCaffrey's the other obvious one that for this to work, he can't. Shocker, Jason. He can't miss 14 games or 12 games like he did last season, right? Like the Niners need good players to play. Jason, if there's a stretch of the schedule that, again, we kind of talk about the weakness of the schedule. It's not the strongest schedule, but there's always that one stretch, and it was worse last year. That stretch where it's the Bills, the Packers, all the Chiefs were in there as well. Is there a stretch that's like, hey, if they can make it out of this little group unscathed, then they should be good for the rest of the season? It's kind of hard to find it. I think I've pinpointed it, but I'm curious to see kind of what your stretch of doom, I guess, would be the best term would be for the Niners 2025 schedule.
It's not necessarily that all 4 teams are going to be problems, but I can make a case for it. It's going to be starting October 26th against the Texans in Houston,
Yeah.
then going to play the Giants, who I believe that the Giants aren't as good a team of as the 49ers, but they could be a team that takes a step up this season as well. And again, remember, it's an East Coast game. Those games will get weird. Then the Rams and then the Cardinals. And that feels like that moment where the 49ers have to stamp themselves as a playoff team, especially by winning those last 2 NFC West games. I mean, when you look through the schedule and you look at the teams, going off of who you think is going to be better, well, then the 49ers are probably going to be 17-0 when you go through the schedule, right? But when you're thinking about the potential pitfalls and you're thinking of the potential issues that can happen during the season, what if they go into that Giants game and Trent Williams doesn't play that game and they've got to go up against Brian Burns and Thibodeau and Lawrence and Carter and it can wreck the game a little bit, So I'm not saying that I'm scared of the Giants game, but it's right there in that spot between the Texans and the Rams and then the Cardinals, who are always pesky, that if you don't get out of that with a 3-1 record, things can go a little bit left.
Yeah, and I mean the thing about the Giants too, especially with that pass rush you mentioned, is it's a situation where if maybe the first two drives don't go your way and the Giants respond with two touchdowns, and maybe you're behind 10-0, 14-0 in the first quarter, that pass rush can kind of pin the ears back on the pass plays, and that's when it'll get dangerous. So yeah, that's a game that like you got to be perfect. You have to play it well. You can't take it for granted because that pass rush. It's funny, Jason. You chose week 8 through week 11. I picked the 4 games directly prior to that, so that's week 4 to week 7. That's versus Jacksonville, at Los Angeles, at Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. Jacksonville, kind of the loose team, and maybe if you want, we could bump it to include the Texans instead of Jacksonville. I don't know. I'm higher on Jacksonville than most. I think Liam Cohen, Duval, I think him out there with Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, Bashal Tutin. Notice how I threw that in there instead of ETN, just throwing it out there.
ETN's not starting anyway.
There we go. So Bashal Tutin, space for him to make it, right?
Tank Bigsby, buddy.
Tank Bigsby too. I know. I got to push my draft guys, Jason.
Yeah, I know. I do it all the time.
In 5 years, when the Niners sign him, I have to be like, hey, I was high on him. He's
5 years when the Niners sign him to the practice squad, and you're exactly. and you're like, what a move.
What a movie. Exactly. I have that in my back pocket because I was in on him during this draft. But I'm a little higher on Jacksonville than others. I think it's just me not wanting to give up on Trevor Lawrence. Then you go at Los Angeles, which, last year wasn't a very good time. It's been a good time traditionally, but this year it feels like it's going to be a little bit tighter than previous years. At Tampa Bay, I'm high on Tampa Bay this year. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a very, very talented football team.
You're high on what now?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but you can't. We got to get you a counselor.
It's just meetings I got to go to, Jason Aponte. But if there's a team that I'm just as high on within the division, is Atlanta. I think Atlanta might be better than some people think. I'm big on Penix this year. So this stretch here, that week 4 to week 7, which I guess, Jason, we just kind of pinpointed half of the schedule as being very important between the two of us. So that week 4 to week 11 stretch is going to be very interesting for the 49ers. But that first, my stretch of 4 games, you're only a month into the season, gets you to middle of October. Maybe you're 5-2 after that stretch. I listen, man, I love football. I love football. I'm big on everybody because
he said,
because yes,
twin.
I know Hendrix. I ignored the pause part. But I'm just excited can a man be excited for football?
No, you can't. You can't have fun either. Apparently, not on Twitter and not on YouTube. It's not. You can't have fun. I noticed that today. I got yelled at for complaining about the ads that are going to be on Red Zone, and someone's like, "Why are you mad about this story?" And I'm just like, "Jesus Christ, dude, go outside and touch some damn grass."
The whole advertising was commercial-free football, man.
Commercial-free football. Here's the funny part. It's almost like Andrew Pasquini.
Yes.
Whatever you thought that team was last year may not be walking through that door this year.
Yes.
And yes, I believe the 49ers are better than most of these teams, if not all of them. But just because the Jaguars sucked last year doesn't mean they're going to suck this year. Just because the Falcons didn't make the playoffs last year doesn't mean that they right. Like we've got to stop saying easy schedule. We've got to be saying easy schedule if we play the 2024 version of those teams. That's what we need to say.
Yes.
It's not an easy schedule. This is the NFL. Those guys get paid as well, too. And there are always games that you're sitting there like, how in the fuck did the 49ers lose this game? And you could point to a bunch of things. So I want us to stop saying it's an easy schedule. Yes. There's the caveat. It's an easy schedule if the 2024 version of that team walks through the door. Will they? No. Can they? Maybe. But it's the NFL. There's always teams that go from worst to first. There's always teams that have, look, I think Filthy Casual says Travis Hunter going to flip the Jag script. I think that has little to do with it more than it does Liam Cohen in this offense having somebody who can actually call plays and actually use his players correctly, right? That's the thing is this isn't the team that their coach was last year. And, again, the Falcons were figuring it out at the end of the year. They didn't make it, but you know what? They've got another year. They've got a Rams tree offensive coordinator and everything as well, too. This is the stuff that we need to consider. And this doesn't mean that you need to be scared of any of these teams,
Yeah.
but if you're not properly evaluating them with the changes that can make them better, then you're just wondering and hoping that the 2024 version of those teams walk through the door. It's just not how the NFL works. If the 49ers 2024 version walks through that door, it doesn't matter who any of these opponents are going to be. They're going to get their ass kicked a lot of those games. So we need to also just remember what we're excited about with the 49ers is 2025 and what they've added. You have to keep that same energy with the teams that have things that they've added, whether it's in the draft, in free agency, in coaching, and that's got to change the way that you're viewing this stuff. That's all I'm saying.
I like that. Yeah, no, because it's really fun and easy back in May when the schedule gets announced to talk about how easy the schedule looks because not everything is finally formed. But yeah, once you get closer, it does look a little different because you know what these teams look like now. You have a good idea, and then as fun as it is to say in May, yeah, the Niners should beat the Seahawks in Week 1. It looks a lot different 4 days away now, right? Like it
And we have
doesn't
to
feel.
and our feet to the fire with a prediction that we have to make.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a little different. It's a little more fun to say 17-0, which leads to the next question, Jason. Looking at the schedule, I think we both had them like 13, 14 wins when we did this back in May.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have the 49ers finishing? What the record, where they finished in the division, if they're a wild card team, whatever what is your 49ers prediction for this season?
11-6, and that might be good enough to win the division. I don't think they're gonna lose all their games in the division, but if they finish at 11-6, they'll get in. It's gonna get scary, and I'm gonna list again why I think you have to win this division. Philadelphia, Washington, 3 teams from the NFC North. The NFC South is gonna have 1 team: Tampa Bay, Atlanta, whoever. That leaves 1 spot for the NFC West. Like we have to start just doing the math. It's a numbers game. I don't know if 2 teams are going to make the wild card. Now, what 3 teams are going to come from the NFC North? Well, the Green Bay Packers, Andrew, I don't know if you know, they added a pretty good player to their team. So they were close and they made the playoffs last year. The Packers are probably in. The Lions, while we expect them to not be as high powered because of Ben Johnson, how could you sit there and say that you don't think that the Lions are going to be a playoff team? The Minnesota Vikings, yes, they have a new quarterback. They were a playoff team, and Sam Darnold vomited on himself the last 2 weeks in Minnesota. And I'll throw this out there: Ben Johnson went to Chicago. What if Chicago, who has made massive improvements on their offensive line, added weapons in the draft, added weapons from the year before, and now have a play caller? Now it's all going to depend on Caleb Williams, and I guess that's up to you and your opinion. But 3 of those 4 teams are most likely going to make the playoffs. Philadelphia and Washington, we think are going to make the playoffs, although I'm not as bullish on Washington as I thought. And then the South is just going to be one. It's going to be who wins the NFC West, and I'm getting scared and more scared that if you don't win that division, you're not going to get invited to the dance. So the 49ers have to win that division and win those games in the division.
You just made a great case about why the Niners need to win the division, and I'm going to sit here and say 10-7. They're a wild card team,
and they're still.
I don't know. I don't know if a third team makes it from the North. I think it's Green Bay. I think it's probably Detroit. I'm not big on JJ McCarthy. That's not fair to JJ McCarthy. He hasn't played. I'm not huge on him. I don't think he moves the needle for Minnesota. Chicago, I probably would be more prone to put them in over Detroit. I'm putting Detroit in just because we've doubted Dan Campbell before. I could totally see this be a scenario where Dan Campbell just kind of laughs at us and goes on and wins the division again. I'm going to go 10-7 for the 49ers, second in the NFC West behind the Los Angeles Rams. I really like what the Rams did this offseason. Devontae Adams, if Stafford can stay healthy, just the addition of Devontae Adams itself should make them better. But I have a hard time putting the Rams to sleep until they're actually put to sleep. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Niners finishing 10-7. 2 teams in the North. I think you got Philadelphia and Washington in the East, and then Tampa Bay in the South. So that leaves 2 spots open in the NFC West for the 49ers and the Rams to get in. So that's my prediction, 10-7. Jason, final question before we do some other things here. Super Bowl. Who's your two teams in the Super Bowl? Who wins the Super Bowl?
Oh dear.
And as a Niners podcast, let's just get it out of the way first. The 49ers are obviously going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 60. You heard it here first. So when it's right, Sprint Right Option Podcast has said it. Niners over the Chiefs Super Bowl 60. Now that we got it out of the way, Jason Aponte, if we weren't on a 49ers podcast, who's coming out of the AFC? Who's coming out of the NFC?
Give me the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. All birds, Super Bowl, and I think Lamar gets his ring and shuts everybody the fuck up. And you know what? If the 49ers don't win it, that's what I would like to see the most, because he is the most disrespected player in the history of the NFL. It's not even particularly close.
Oh,
yeah. Even Joe Montana, who doesn't know ball at all. Thank God that he was a very good quarterback, because he's a terrible analyst. He doesn't have Lamar Jackson in his top 4. There's a reason for that, but Lamar Jackson's super disrespected. Like Lamar Jackson literally put up almost like 5,000 something yards, and people are just like, I don't want him on my team. Yeah. All right, man.
Probably should have been MVP last year too.
Yeah, and all they did was add, right? Malachi Starks. That defense is going to be top 1, 2 in the league. You still have Derrick Henry, who's no signs of slowing down. As long as Lamar Jackson's there, again, you can blame whatever you want on the reason that they lost in Buffalo. Sure, Lamar in the first 3 quarters, he wasn't up to his standards, but he fucking gets them down to the field and throws the ball right into his tight end's hands, and he drops it, and then you're all like, "Oh, Lamar choked." All right, man. What do you want from him? He put them in a bind. He got them out of that bind, and no one else helped him. So, yeah, man, this has got to be the year. And if it's not, then I fear the noise is just going to get louder. But I kind of just want to see Lamar Jackson win it, because I'm tired of people disrespecting him and just trying to make him be whatever it is that you think a quarterback could be. Good players are good players, and no matter how they get it done is how they get it done. And Lamar Jackson is one of the best football players I've ever seen in my life, and the most disrespected football player in the world.
Jason, I agree with you on the AFC side. I think I got the Baltimore Ravens. The defense is very good. Lamar Jackson is game-breaking ability good. Derrick Henry's made them so much better. I think this is the year they get over the hump. In the NFC, I got the Green Bay Packers coming out.
Really?
I am so high on Jordan Love this year. I think Matthew Golden makes the difference in that offense. I was another guy I was high on in the draft process was Matthew Golden. I think him out in Green Bay makes that offense better. They already got Josh Jacobs, a running back that solidifies it. I think the Micah Parsons trade is kind of what pushed it over. Now, obviously, we'll see what happens with this back injury that he's dealing with. He might need injections, might not. Well, whatever.
Might need a bacchiotomy. Please tell me you get that reference.
I don't get the reference, but I'm going
to Damn it. All right, chat.
I'm going to go 7-6.
No, that one's a 10 out of 10. Chat.
Okay.
What movie is Doctor Says I Need a Bacchiotomy? Don't look it up and let the chat tell you. Go.
Look it up.
You
I'll
can
let the
going.
Chat yell at me. But I'm higher on Green Bay than I was last week for obvious reasons. I think that Micah Parsons trade pushes them over the top. I don't know if on a Niner podcast I could pick the Packers to win the Super Bowl, so I'll go Ravens over Packers in the Super Bowl 60. Lamar Jackson gets his Super Bowl MVP.
I see the logic because they got Micah Parsons. I just don't think that that's enough to put them next to the Eagles, man. I just, again, and the Eagles could have a season where, and oh my God, I knock on wood, just because I have all the stonks everywhere of him. I can't have Saquon Barkley being injured at all. But it could be a season where, they're already dealing with the injury with Landon Dickerson. And, they had extremely good. Oh, thank you, Tony. My God. Woo! A man of culture. Never seen Half Baked. Boo this man. But this could be a year where they have an impact injury, right? And things seem to go right for them. Funny enough, the Rams were the ones that were closest to the Eagles. It felt like all those other games were just washes. But I understand what you mean with the Packers. I just don't think that moves the needle to get them closer. But if Philadelphia does sustain an impact injury, then you're talking, and that's the mystery of the season. That's why any sort of right now prediction, September 3rd, you can probably tear it up halfway through. But I just think it'll be Baltimore and Philadelphia. Those are the two rosters I have the most faith in. And the Eagles have been to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls, and they just smashed the Chiefs in this last one, and tush push for everybody, man.
Tush push for everyone. Hey, that tush push is also brought to you by Dude Wipes, I think it was. Did you see that?
It
Or
is
did I
Dude
did, did
Wipes.
I
It is
did I
Dude.
get
You
did
know
I get
what?
gimmicked again?
No,
Did I
you
get
know what?
Anthony Volpe again?
No, you know what? I'm gonna choose to have that because that's so genius. Like I hope I'm a sucker for a good promotion. Sometimes when it's bad, I'll call it out. But the tush push being sponsored by Dude Wipes is 10 out of 10. 10 out of
Yeah,
10. Perfect.
that's a good one. That's a good one. Jason, do you have anything else on our predictions, projections before we get to your little thing here we're doing at the end?
Yeah, 14 sacks for Nick Bosa. I think
Okay.
Fred Warner pushes his way into the DPOY conversation. Diamador Lenore is going to be an All Pro this season.
Okay.
And I do think that Brock Purdy shuts a lot of people to fuck up with the way that he plays this season. And we won't have to have a conversation of why did you pay him all this money and you don't think he's deserved it. I think 100% Brock Purdy's going to have a ball last season. And you know what that means? So is Ricky Pearsall. So is George Kittle. And that's why I've been trying to get them everywhere I can in fantasy football. Got to stick to that, right? Like the logic has to be if I think Ricky Pearsall is about to go nuts this season, who's throwing him the football? So
Yep.
that it's just 2 + 2 = 4 here, and I can't wait to get yelled at by that about that.
I like it, Jason. I have a bold predictions piece coming out tomorrow, NinersNation.com.
Nice.
Not going to throw any of those out, but that'll be out tomorrow, so be sure to check that out. Jason, before we get out of here, you got a little something special to do for everybody here, so I'll let you take the floor.
Hell yeah. Wednesday, September 3rd, guys. Tomorrow's the first game. You want to get geared up, right? With 49ers gear. Well, I partnered up with Foco and they sent me a nice little box. You want to open it up and see what they sent me? I mean, let's do it. Let's take a look. But in the description is my link for you guys to check out all the gear that they have. They have bobbleheads. They have cool bobbleheads like Peanuts, Snoopy bobbleheads with 49ers jerseys and different ones that are just made specifically for them. So if you want to flex your bobbleheads, you know, I have a lot of bobbleheads and pop figures and things. I'm a big fan. You can go and use that link in the description. That's foco.com. Use that link in the description. My God, I'm trying to get this open and I wanted to, say thank you for them to sending me. Oh, it's hats. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's hats. All right now. Look at that.
There you go.
That's one.
There you go.
Got a nice little logo on the side here. Let me unrip this real quick. Let me see this. Let me see this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like it. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. That's one. Thank you, Foco. Oh wow. All right. Look, and this one looks like yours. Oh man. Let me get this out of the box here, out of the bag here. Here we go. That looks like yours. Hell yeah. I love that design right there.
Color.
Yeah, right? Nothing on the side. Very clean. Very, very clean. I like this. Man, thank you, Foco. These are good. Oh, hell yeah. I love this one. Let me open it up.
Okay.
This one I like. I love this right here. The band, really good. It's got a good mesh back right here.
Ooh.
And also the nice little 49ers logo on there. Hey, Foco, you're cooking, man. And if you want to get any of these hats and any of their gear that they have, use the description. Use the link in the description. That's foco.com. Use the description in the link. The link in the description. God, I'm bad at this. But man, I really like this one the best. This one's my favorite. I can't wait to put this one on.
It's breathing in the back too. So next time you play softball, Jason, you get a good breathable hat on your head.
Playing in a football hat is probably why I'm gonna go 0 for 5.
Oh, man, you gotta wear the hat. Wear the hat you look good in, Jason. That's what I do. Hey, six-time slow pitch world champion. Got the autograph. Got the team to sign the ball here. That signature says "Bless you, child." Looks like it says "Eat shit," but shout out Esther. 6-time world champion slow pitch on Tuesday nights. Just want to flex that since we talked about softball there.
6-time.
No, not just knocking shit over. Technically, I'm a 7-time because I won one on a Friday night as well. So I've won personally 7.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Look at that. The GOAT of slow. I also hit a 2-run home run that gave us the lead to win the championship. Just throwing it out there.
I mean, that's just a clutch gene. I mean, either you have it or you don't.
Some are saying I have the biggest clutch gene on 49ers Twitter.
If you don't, either you have it or you don't. You can't teach the clutch gene. You can't teach the clutch gene. It's either you have it or you don't. It's the right stuff.
Hey, those hats were pretty cool. Tell me one more time where they can get them.
Foco.com. Make sure you check out that link in the description. Go in there, check out sweaters, shirts, hats, memorabilia, and the bobbleheads. The bobbleheads are the ones you should check out. They've got a bunch of ones. Like I said, Charlie Brown theme, Joe Montana, who I slandered earlier, didn't mean anything by that. And other players as well too. So yeah, check those out. If you're a big bobblehead guy like me or a pop figure guy like me, that's George Kittle, that's Joe Staley, then you definitely want to check that out. But also check out those hats, man. I'm really happy about those hats. I'm set for the season.
Beautiful. I love it. Huge shout out, Jason. Great hats. Hey, the next time you're going to hear us talking, it's going to be a game preview. We're going to be previewing week one. Believe we have a guest
We do.
Friday
We do.
lunchtime. It's going to be a lunchtime pod. We don't want to interrupt the Brazil, Sam Powell, whatever game out there with the Chargers and Chiefs. We have Bryce from the Hawkeyes podcast up in Seattle. So make sure guys join us for that. We'll have insight from the other side of the 49ers game. So I'm very much looking forward to it, Jason. Hey, anything before we get out of here for the day?
No, just excited to talk football,
Excited.
and everybody's getting back to normal in terms of the roster is looking better and better. Breathe a little bit, but Sunday's going to be a fun game, and by fun I mean a sweaty, heart racing, annoying game in week one.
And we will talk about it on Friday. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Bam.